This is Tyrese Halliburton, and you're listening to Setting the Pace.
What is up, Pacer Nation? Welcome in to another episode here of your go-to Pacers podcast, Setting the Pace. And the Indiana Pacers take down the Milwaukee Bucks 117-98 in Game 1. And Facci is here to talk with me about it all. So, Facci, how are you doing, my man?
Oh, man, what a life. Think about it. The Pacers at home in Game 1. And we're up 1-0 in a series. That is something we did not get to experience last year. Indiana was down 0-1 in every series they played. It feels great to have a lead early on and have home court advantage.
It really does, Facci. And I will say this. We're glad to have you back. We missed you for the last episode that we had, but I know there's some exciting news. You got to watch this game with someone a little bit new to the world. Wanted you to tell us about that.
Oh, man, my son has arrived. Cameron Jimmy Facci in the building, or as you would like to say, Cameron J. Facci. Hey, that works.
I love it.
Here. All my kids know is Pacer playoff success. I mean, these little ones, my daughter Maddie, just coming off of an Eastern Conference Finals run. She's under 2 years old. Cameron watches Game 1. The Pacers were up as many as 28. I mean, it was a special moment as a father, being able to be home, watching the game with my kids. And it's like, this is the next generation of Pacer fans. So, hey, he's off to a good start.
No, I'm really excited about that, Facci. I think it's great that you were able to watch it with your son. And I'll be honest with you, I had my lucky socks on the day, Facci. I pulled them out. I haven't worn those lucky socks all season long. I've kept them in the drawer tucked away. I said, I feel like these have graduated to playoffs only. And so I put them on for Game 1. And I was wearing like black and gray today. So navy and yellow really did not go with what I was doing. So definitely a clash of styles here. But anyway, we've got ourselves a game to talk about because this one was one of those games where I didn't really know what to expect. But, man, once Myles Turner hit that big three to start the game out, I was like, okay, I feel like Myles was going to have a big game, and I thought Myles Turner was absolutely fantastic in this one.
He really was. I mean, Turner, he's – even last year, come alive in the playoffs. You're looking to that trusted veteran. And, it was just kind of crazy. This was the first time – that he opened up a series at home in the playoffs as a Pacer. It's like, that's crazy, 10 years deep. But Turner's got our back. He played the Bucks very well last year. Brook Lopez just a little bit older. Turner looking just a little bit better. He had 9 points in the third quarter. I know you talked about how he got us started. He was great in that third quarter, and overall just a really solid game by Myles Turner.
Yeah, I would actually say that third quarter was probably what they needed the most from Turner because that's when things got a little bit wonky there for the Pacers. So they were kind of coasting with the big lead, and we've seen this happen with this team time and time again. When they get up to a big lead, it's hard to play with a lead, and the other team starts playing a little bit looser. You kind of get a little casual. I know Rick Carlisle tried calling a few timeouts here and there just kind of get his team back on track, and they had some nice out-of-timeout plays set up and things like that. But I just felt like Myles, that block that he had was pivotal. He had a big dunk in the middle of the paint. There was a beautiful play there in the zone where Nembhard got the ball in the middle of the zone, threw a nice bounce pass to Myles. Myles slammed it down. I mean, I just felt like him going 4 of 6 from 3 in that second in the game entirely. But the second half, that last one that he made, that little step back 3, when the game was around 12-point, at a 12-point lead for a while there, kind of felt a little nervous. Like, man, if Milwaukee hits 2 threes, it could become a 6-point game. Myles hits that 3, makes it a 15-point game, and I felt like at that point that was just the cushion the Pacers needed.
It really was. But, how crazy is it that, when it got to just a 12-point lead, that's when we felt a little bit nervous. Not like it was back and forth or anything of the sort. It was Indiana led by as much as 28. But when it got down to 12, yeah, sure, you didn't feel great about it, but Milwaukee was never within single digits outside of that first quarter. So I thought this was really all Pacers. The 28-point lead, we all knew that was not going to last. This is the Indiana Pacers that we're talking about here. So anything could happen, but they did a good enough job being able to, hold it down. The second half was definitely a lot more Milwaukee, but that second quarter, I believe it was 34-18. Indiana outscored Milwaukee. That was the pivotal quarter in this game where they never really had to look back. They had to look over their shoulders a little bit, but never had to fully look back.
Yeah, before we keep moving on, Facci, we do have some people here in the comment section live. We have Trey Schmidt. He said, Facci, congrats on the kiddo. So congratulations to you. I don't know. Can you see these comments here on the screen?
I can actually see a couple from my wife. Wow.
Yeah, here we go, Facci.
Oh
Look
man,
at this.
this is really popping off right now. This is pretty cool. I appreciate everybody who's tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we've had some comments here. And I will say this, when I was at the game, I did run into a few people. And Ted Wu, assistant general manager, said, tell Facci I said congratulations, as well as Jeremiah Johnson said, send Facci my best. So, congratulations, Facci. I mean, obviously, a big moment here. Your wife and the two kiddos are watching it. So here we go. Moving back to the game, the resident teacher says Myles for MVP of game 1. I think we can have a discussion about this when we get to our player of the game awards, but I think the other person that really stood out to me in this game was Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam was just unbelievable, hit timely shot after timely shot, and it really felt like he was kind of putting this team on his back. So it was a beautiful thing to see from Pascal, because Pascal is one of those guys that Rick Carlisle talked about it after the game. He just said, you don't look at him throughout the game and think, man, that guy just had 25 points on this, great shooting night, but he just constantly brings it and he hits the big time baskets every time you need him.
Slow and steady, gets to his spots, 10 of 15 shooting, plays good defense. Look, yeah, sure, you could say Giannis had 36. What do you mean? But it's like he's that. Where would we be if we didn't have Pascal Siakam? He had some monster games against the Bucks last year. It's just great to know that none of it's a fluke. Like that Pascal Siakam has been cool, calm, and collected and consistent. Everything starts with a C somehow of what I'm describing him. But that's how he's been. He just keeps it in a rhythm, and 25 points. I saw people like Bob Kravitz on Twitter saying like the Pacers have made some good trades, for Jermaine O'Neal or Tyrese Halliburton, but that trade for Pascal Siakam has got to rank up there. And look, that's a whole nother argument for another day.
Well, let's talk about that. I want to ask you that. I mean, I saw that tweet as well. Do you think the Siakam trade is bigger than either the Jermaine O'Neal trade or the Halliburton trade?
I don't. And look, and I'm not going to be a prisoner of the moment because Siakam had a really good game. Like Jermaine O'Neal was a 6-time All-Star and, finished third in MVP voting. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased. My favorite player of all time. Tyrese Halliburton is the man that we're not even here. We don't even trade for Siakam unless you traded for Halliburton. Siakam, even Halliburton on a bad day, look what he did. I mean, brutal shooting night. Still gets you 12 assists to just one turnover. He's the engine, but Siakam, we can't sleep on that trade. That was an all-time move for the Pacers, like one of those key moments in franchise history.
No, I mean, it's a great trade. You'll never forget what that trade meant to this Pacers team. That's his 9th playoff win with the Pacers. Like, just think about that, Facci. Like 9 playoff wins since he's been traded here. I mean, when's the last time we talked about 9 playoff wins as a franchise? So it's just incredible. Like, he just means that much to this team. But I honestly think that this is a great point here from Uncouth. Siakam needed that week off. Look, I'm telling you, that those 2 games he didn't play on, that Friday night against Orlando, then that Sunday against Cleveland, and then all this week off, he needed the rest. And the 3-point shot was wet today, Facci. I really feel like because that 3-point shot was wet, he was able to get his legs underneath him. He was able to shoot the ball well. I thought he, obviously a tall task guarding Giannis for a majority of the game. Thought it was a very good job by Rick Carlisle to kind of stagger who was guarding Giannis and not just solely put it on Nesmith, put it on Siakam. I know foul trouble was kind of a thing early on, but still, we saw guys like Jarris Walker get his opportunities on him. Myles Turner had his opportunities. Thomas Bryant, unfortunately, had his opportunities on Giannis as well. So you're looking about 5 guys that were spending some time on him. Pacers sending 2 or 3 guys at him, trying to give him different looks. But I just think that overall, Siakam was exactly the type of player the Pacers needed with this group. We've been begging the team to get a 4 for how many years? Since Thaddeus Young, really. And even at that point, Thad had his limitations. Like, Siakam is just a very, very special talent that means so much to this team. And I feel like because he's a little bit under the radar in terms of like how loud his games are statistically, people don't realize how special of a player he is. And so I think just him elevating his game once again to another level is a big reason why the Pacers got this dub. So anything else you want to say on Siakam?
No, I just thought, Siakam was everything that you needed and hoped that he could be. And I still feel like he has big games left for this series. Like, I don't think this was like the biggest game that you're going to get out of him. Like last year, I remember him having like 37 points. It's like, okay, it's going to be hard to top. He had another like 35-point game. I think Siakam could do this again and a couple times. This is not a fluke. This is something that I don't want to say we can expect, but it's something that we count on Siakam, and he's been able to be someone to count on all year. I do see a couple comments talking about Drew in the first half. Playoff Nembhard, that's a thing. That's a thing. And that man was cooking early on. 8 points in the first quarter, 15 by halftime. He was 7 of 8 from the field in that first half. And while he did have a quiet second half offensively, he was everything the Pacers needed. He was lowering that shoulder. It didn't matter if it was Giannis or whoever was in front of him. He was getting to the rim, and this man just looks like he takes his game to the next level on bigger stages, whether it was in college at Gonzaga, whether it's, in the in-season tournament, whether it's in the playoffs, time and time again. Man, playoff Nembhard, I love that guy.
I'll tell you what, Facci, the way that he was bully balling his way to the basket at the beginning of the game was just beautiful to see. Like, he took that first three, completely whiffed it. It went way out of bounds. I'm thinking to myself, oh no, is Nembhard going to get his 3-point shot back? Right? Like, I was just like, is he going to lose it all the way for the playoffs? Because if you listen to my preview that I did by myself, one of the big things I was wanting to see was Nembhard become a 3-point threat again, because I feel like if Nembhard isn't hitting his 3-point shot, the Bucks could put Giannis on him and kind of like play him as a roamer, like we've seen the Cavs do back in the day with LeBron James. Like, put this guy on the worst guy so he doesn't have to guard as much, play this help defense stuff, really make it hard for Indiana. But I think, unless, Nembhard's foot was always on the line, unfortunately, when he was shooting threes today. So I don't think he actually hit anything besides the one that was like the super deep one there at the end of the second quarter. But 8 of 13 from the field. The offense was really impressive to me. And I think Myles Turner even said that he might have set the tone early on for this team. But I will say this, I thought his defense was more impressive to me, Facci.
Definitely.
So many times he was going in there and, intercepting passing lanes or just tipping the ball away, just doing little things off ball, because this is one of the things I was talking about on the preview. It's like, who is he going to be guarding on ball? Because if Dame's not in the game, who are they going to primarily put him up against? This allows him to kind of be more of that roamer, and I thought it was a beautiful thing to see. So I definitely love the way that Nembhard played today. Like you said, raised his level, raised his game to a whole other level come playoff time.
No, that he really did. And it just felt like, here's one thing I want to put in perspective. We know Giannis is going to be Giannis. I mean, 36 points. Okay, hey, great. He's going to do that. He's probably going to have even bigger games. But if that's their Batman, who's Robin? AJ Green? Gary Trent Jr.? I mean, these were role players that could not do anything. Kyle Kuzma had one of the worst playoff games we might ever see. That man didn't accumulate a stat in over 20 minutes. And you're looking around like Taurean Prince didn't do anything. It was, just like Ryan Rollins and like nothing. These were guys that's like, this was the Giannis show. And if that's how it's going to be, okay, great. Because we talked about before this game that Giannis is going to get guys involved. He's got his shooters. Giannis had a 20-assist game recently. Giannis had one assist. One assist. The Pacers did fantastic defense, especially on the perimeter. Milwaukee came in this game, one of the best, if not the best, three-point shooting team in the league. I think as a team, they were close to about 39%. They couldn't buy a three-pointer. I think in the first half, they might have made 2 threes, I think, overall. And in the second half, they didn't have much. So basically, they had 4 made threes through 3 quarters. 4 of 24 at one point. Like, that's everything you could possibly ask for from perimeter defense from the Pacers.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. The Bucks' three-point shooting was the thing that beat the Pacers throughout the regular season series. Gary Trent Jr. nearly shot 60%. Bobby Portis shot 50%. Taurean Prince was like 53%. So you have 3 guys shooting 50% or greater in the series. And I know Portis only ended up playing 2 of those games. But still, I was a little bit worried. The guy that really kind of hurt the Pacers today from 3 was Green. Yeah, and
late in the game,
late in the game, and everything else that he took offensively, I was okay with. But those threes that they ran for him, hit a lot of shots. I'm like, this dude's a bona fide 3-point shooter. Like, the lowest percentage, Facci, that he's ever had from 3 in a regular season is 40.8% in 3 years. So, like, this guy is like a 40% 3-point shooter throughout his career, or even greater than that. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that the Bucks are going to make adjustments. I think the Bucks are going to figure some things out. We'll see if Dame Lillard does return for game 2. It seemed like he was, letting Tyrese Haliburton know that he's going to be back pretty soon. And Pascal Siakam stepped in and got a technical foul. So I would love to know what was really going on out there during that review when the game was pretty much in the balance. But overall, I love the way that this Pacers team just stepped it up defensively, like you said. I mean, at one point it was 74-47. Like, the Pacers were just on a roll. Like, they were just doing everything right. And if you look at the Bucks starters, like you kind of mentioned it, Ryan Rollins, Brook Lopez, that group right there, they were so slow-footed. And if you look at the plus-minus numbers, absolutely just got obliterated by the Pacers starters, where the bench kind of came in and they kind of kept it even. So I would assume some major adjustments from the Bucks starting lineup. Even if Dame doesn't return, I think you're going to see somebody moved in and out. I mean, Kyle Kuzma, 20 minutes today, zeros across the board. Doc Rivers went to his defense, basically said that he's got to shoot the ball. He's got to have the ball in his hands to be able to do that. But I just think that what we saw in game one was we're going to let Giannis do everything. And Giannis had 36 points on 23 field goal attempts, but he didn't shoot the ball particularly well from the free throw line. So you live with that. I just think Indiana did a really good job of not overcommitting to Giannis too much, but still making everything that he did difficult. And like you said earlier, 1 assist. That has got to be something you're very happy with. But I do think that the Bucks were just missing some shots too.
No, they were, and they'll hit more shots for sure. For the Giannis, touching on Giannis quickly. I mean, look, he had 8 free throws in the first quarter. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a long night. He's just going to be living, at the free throw line. He only attempted 7 more free throws for the remaining 3 quarters, and that man was clanking them. He used every second that he could every time. I felt like I lost 5 full minutes of my life just waiting for him to wind up each time for the free throws, but he wasn't making them. I think he might have went 8 of 15 in this game from the free throw line. I believe it was. 8 of 15. That's gross. That is gross, and honestly, kind of unacceptable. I think he's got to be better. I don't want him to be better, but you got to imagine, he'll emphasize that a little bit more. But touching on Dame, I think we've waited long enough. Look, it's obviously a storyline. Dame mouthing off, him and Tyrese exchanging some words. I'm not a lip reader, and many people have claimed they're saying, I'll be back or, anything like that. They said he could be back for game 2 or 3. Knowing how much of a competitor and how much the Bucks got waxed by the Pacers today, I expect Dame to be out there for game 2, because if they fall down, 2-0, does it make that much sense to bring him back and risk him? I don't know, but it sounds like he'll be back. But I just want to throw this out because I got some stats on me. I always keep that shovel on me. And here's the thing. In the 3 games that Andrew Nembhard played against Damian Lillard in the regular season, 1 game, and not that he was solely guarding him 100% of the time, but a lot of it. 1 game, Dame shot 3 of 14 from the field for 5 assists and 4 turnovers. Another game, Dame shot 4 of 14 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3 turnovers. And then there was another game where Dame did play well. He shot 7 of 15 from the field. 6 of those 7 makes came from 3. So, yeah, Dame, you could definitely be out there, but I don't know exactly what he's going to be. It's not like you're adding in a 30-point per game score. Technically, from a regular season standpoint, you might. But Nembhard has had his number, even dating back to last year in the regular season, in the in-season tournament, and so on. Like, Dame is going to make this team better, but I feel confident knowing that we got a guy like Andrew Nembhard who's going to be guarding him.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this is honestly where you could potentially see Ben Shepherd thrown back into the rotation too if Dame Lillard does return. Ben Shepherd did not play in today's game, which is something we haven't really seen too much of. I don't think Shepherd's got very many coaches did not play coaches' decisions. He is coming back from the toe injury, so have to see how much of an impact that is there. But I definitely do agree though. Like, Damian Lillard is one of those players that very gifted. We saw it in the playoffs last year, but he was also dealing with that calf injury last year as well. So, he's coming back. Blood clots are no joke. And honestly, I want him to be healthy first and foremost. Like, that's what I care about the most. But let's be honest, how hard is it to come back after you haven't played for 3 to 4 weeks and be in game shape? And we're not just talking regular game shape. Like, the Pacers play such a fast pace.
We're running.
How much is he going to be really impactful? So to me, it would make sense if he's at least 95% ready to go to play him in game 2. Facci, kind of let him shake the rust off. Even if you lose game 2, if you're Milwaukee, it gives you some confidence going back home with 2 games with maybe a little bit more of a healthy Dame. You've got Giannis back in front of the building. A lot of guys shoot better at home too. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it makes sense to me why they would bring Dame back regardless, just because if he's ready to play, they need him to win. So I just don't see a world where the Bucks can win this series unless Dame is at that number 2 level. And that's not me being confident or arrogant or anything like that. You just saw it. The Bucks miss an on-ball creator. Who is their on-ball creator besides Giannis? I mean, nobody really. To me, it's supposed to be Kevin Porter Jr., but I don't even feel like he was that good in this game tonight. And I don't expect him to really have as big of an impact as he had at the end of the regular season come playoff time, because the Pacers are going to be well scouted for that, and nobody likes to do. I mean, TJ McConnell, Ben Mathurin, I thought they did a pretty good job containing him throughout the game today.
Yeah, I think it did. I think that it's like when we had Ty Windish on, who covers the Bucks. Look, love me some Ty, but he's talking about guys like Ryan Rollins and this. It's like, come on, come on, this is the playoffs. Like you need Damian Lillard out there. You can't talk about these role players that are going to step up and have big games. Like if AJ Green's your second or third option, you're not getting out of the first round. A couple comments at Trouty C. I saw that when Kuzma raised his leg, I thought that should have been more than a common foul. That was like a desperation. Kuzma turns it over, and now he's like getting dirty with it. So thought it should have been more than just a common foul, but whatever. It is what it is.
Was it a natural reaction? Because that does not look like a natural reaction to me from Kuzma.
Yeah.
That's what the official said. Like, it was a natural reaction to fall.
His leg almost came up where like Matherin's like chest was. It was like he raised it blatantly so high, but whatever. If that's what you got to do, and you still can't accumulate a stat, I mean, Kyle Kuzma almost had zeros and then like a technical. Like that's you were an absolute negative in this game. But anyway, I just feel like, they need Dame out there if they're going to do anything. You brought up Matherin. Matherin had some moments more in the first half. He had I think it was like nine points or so in the second quarter. Really was cooking early. He had like 11 points in his first 10 minutes, I remember. So good to see him out there, hit some good shots. McConnell had some moments as well. I think we're going to see better play from an Obi Toppin, but we've made it this far and really not touched on Tyrese Halliburton. Look, here's the thing, 10 points, 3 of 13 shooting, 0 of 7 from 3. It's gross. It really is. But you won. You won by 19 points, which that makes me feel confident. That makes me feel like if you can win by 19 and your point guard played offensively as bad as he could from like a shooting standpoint, it makes you feel like, man, game 2 is going to be so much better. He's really going to be so much better. The 12 assists, he was getting everybody involved. Even early on, the Pacers missed a couple early shots in the beginning of the game. You mentioned that Nembhard, air ball, and there was maybe like Neesmith missed one or whatever it may have been. I was like, okay, we're getting good looks. Everything's going to work out. I expect Tyrese to take his game even further. Also had 7 rebounds. So, hey, Tyrese, the best is yet to come. And I think that this team was still balanced. 6 Pacers in double figures. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but Stephen A. said, would you rather have a great player or a great team? We saw what one great player could do. You could be trailing by 28. A great team led by 28, and we had a lot of guys that could step up for that. I thought it was a great point by Stephen A.
Well, and I mean, let's be honest here. Tyrese didn't have a good shooting night, but he still had 12 assists and was a plus 27, the second best of anybody on the court today. So, I mean, Pascal was a plus 28. Pascal was unbelievable, and I think we talked about that already. But I just think that with Tyrese, the fact that he went 0 of 7 from 3, and a lot of those shots were in and out. Like, they were down really and out. So it's not like he had bad looks. I think he had good looks. He got the looks that he wanted. I'm not worried either. And the fact that they won this game, like you said, by 19 points, where Tyrese really wasn't Tyrese all the way there. Like, he was probably like 70% of himself because the assists were still there. The rebounds were still there. I thought he did a very good job helping out and doing the Giannis wall building stuff that he needed to do in terms of being, rotating in the right spots, whether he was showing a little bit there to like cover some of the painted area where Giannis was going to go, or whether he was like covering for a guy that's leaving his man so he can, contest a 3-point shooter. I just felt like overall we saw a very solid game from Tyrese Halliburton, and people are going to like cook him for his stats, right? I mean, the Dame Lillard stands were out there on social media throwing out his stats.
Left
like
up the assists. I saw that.
Left out the assist and the plus minus. Minus. So, I mean, it is what it is, Fletch. I mean, you know how it is. People are always going to hate on Tyrese, especially if they don't think he's scoring enough. But we've seen how this Pacer team works. When Tyrese scores 20 or more, like what are they, like 28 and 3, something crazy like that? We talked about that stat whenever he scores so many points. But, they can still win without him being this great scorer. And I think that's what makes this team so special is like you see Ben Matherin in his playoff debut. He made as many free throws as Giannis Antetokounmpo did in the game. So that to me is like, okay, we saw what he was doing, right? We saw how Matherin could impact this type of series. We saw Nembhard step his game up. Neesmith had a really poor game as well in terms of the offensive side of things, got into foul trouble. So everybody just kind of stepped up. Jarris Walker had moments when he was on Giannis. I thought he actually played him pretty solidly, knowing there was help coming. I thought he shot the ball well, not great with the ball on the floor, but Jarris showed some really good minutes. And I think that is why when we talk about depth, it does seem kind of like, a little bit over the top. And it's like, oh, this is a storyline they just keep bringing up. But it really is true. Like the Pacers believe this. We've seen it throughout the last 2 years. Strength in numbers is the way this team wins the most. And so at the end of the day, Facci, I'm kind of rambling now too. I feel very confident and what this Pacers team can do because of their depth. But there's going to be times when Tyrese needs to step up, and we've seen him do that specifically on the road. So that is what I feel most confident about.
Yeah, nah, we got the Bucks right where we want them. We really do. Tyrese is going to be better. I think there's going to be, Nesmith that you mentioned, he'll be better. Obi Toppin could definitely play better. I mean, he was a minus 16 in this game. Like you win by 19 and he was a minus 16. Like, yikes. He'll be better. I was happy to see Jarris Walker get early minutes in the first quarter. He played 17 minutes, and we didn't really know what his type of role would be. So it's interesting to know that it seems like the Pacers are still probably going to roll with a pretty deep rotation. I mean, not much changed since the end of the regular season. Like, Thomas Bryant did get double-digit minutes. Mathurin got 25. Like, everyone, for the most part, played, double-digit minutes outside of, obviously, we mentioned, Ben Shepherd didn't play. I don't know if he will, still nursing that injury, but also kind of struggled at the worst time, in the regular season. So we'll see what happens there. But I just felt like, hey, this is a really good, solid performance by the Pacers. But one thing I really want to touch on is the turnovers. The Pacers are protecting the rock at such an elite level lately. Just 5 turnovers in this game. They consistently are having single-digit turnover performances, and it's making a big difference. It really is. Look, the Bucks had 10 turnovers. Normally, you could live with that if you have 10, but for the Pacers to only have 5, whew. And from a fast break standpoint, you mentioned that it's going to be hard for Dame to keep up. Indiana won the fast break battle 22-5 in terms of scoring. Like, they got to play Pacer basketball. They protected the rock, and they hung with Milwaukee across the board in just about every statistical category. They shot better than them. They rebounded better than them. Like, they did everything that you could possibly ask out of the Pacers. So, yeah, I do expect you'll run into an improved Milwaukee team that makes some adjustments, but I also feel that we could be better as well.
This Bucks team didn't really feel like they put a lot of defensive pressure on Indiana, and it was more so like their zone defense at times, I think, made it a little bit wonky for Indiana to get some good looks here and there. But their man-to-man defense to me is not great, and the Pacers, I think, absolutely exposed it. Pretty much played Brook Lopez off the court.
Yeah.
They closed the game with Bobby Portis and Giannis, which we kind of expected to happen. Jericho Sims got some minutes. Thomas Bryant matched all of those minutes. So I don't really know where the Bucks go besides playing Giannis a lot at the 5. Maybe they go Kuzma at the 4, but even Kuzma was so bad today in terms of the statistical impact that he had. Portis probably gives you a little bit more fight. They could even go smaller with Taurean Prince at the 4 and Gary Trent Jr. and Dame Lillard and just kind of match the Pacers small ball with their small ball. But I think, this is a Milwaukee Bucks team that is dead last in offensive rebounds. They like to get defensive rebounds, and that's how they kind of set their defense up. They don't really want to allow you to get extra points, but they're not going to try and go out there and get offensive rebounds. It's just not the way they play their game. So I think that's a really good point for Indiana to kind of hammer, because Zach Lowe tweeted it at halftime. The Pacers are gang rebounding, and anytime the Bucks miss a shot close to the basket, they're getting out and running. And I saw Carlisle doing this winding up motion several times when the Pacers were up 23 points, because he knows that if the Pacers try to settle down and play the Bucks style and their pace, it's going to allow the Bucks to get back into the game. So even when you're playing with the lead, the Pacers really needed to keep playing that pace. But I love that Zach Lowe brought that up, because it was true. They were doing a great job of gang rebounding. It wasn't just Siakam's got 9 and Myles has 10. It was no, everybody had 3 or 4, and that's how you win games. So honestly, I just felt like Rick Carlisle just walked circles or ran circles around Doc Rivers in this game in terms of a coaching standpoint. I don't feel like Doc had any other adjustments to do anything to what the Pacers were doing other than let's play zone defense and run it through Giannis. I just didn't feel like I saw a whole lot of adjustments being made in terms of what they were able to do.
If you know 2 things about Doc Rivers, it's that he's managed to coast this far off of a ring that he won in 2008, and the fact that he doesn't make any adjustments. All right, those are the 2 things about Doc Rivers that everybody knows. But for the Pacers, going back to your point about rebounding, 6 Pacers had 5 or more rebounds.
Talk to me.
We've had games where our leading rebounder had 5. So it just feels like this was what you need. Turner, you can't count on Turner to pull down 15 boards in a game. That's going to happen. Go play a lottery ticket. And that's not to be a diss on Turner. It's just not what you want to do. It's a collective effort. You have to be able to pull down boards. Nesmith's going to have games where he's probably going to pull down 7, 8 boards, things like that. Tyrese gave you 7. He gave you 7 boards. great. Love the effort that we saw today. I feel like, from top to bottom, this was a good win. I'm telling you, man, I know we're recording hours after this game. I'm still fired up. I've talked to you guys before about the pep and the step. It's way different when it's a playoff pep in the step. That thing hits next level, and we can coast off this until Tuesday. Maybe even Wednesday morning if we keep this going. These games, they're spaced out long enough where we could, the birds are chirping, the weather's getting warm, life's getting good, and the Pacers are up 1-0 in the series. And I'm telling you, if you listen, we're going to hear them change their tune about how they talk about us. Because you mentioned Zach Lowe. I believe Zach picked the Bucks in 7. I believe.
No, actually, he picked the Pacers.
Okay. Then
it was Kevin O'Connor.
Yeah, that's who it was. That's exactly who it was. Kevin O'Connor said Bucks in 7. If you asked him right now, I think he'd be like, yeah, I'm changing that pick.
I don't think so. He's a notorious Pacers hater.
Okay, and you're right. I definitely remember him not talking about Tyrese when Tyrese had good games, but also bashing him when he had some bad games early on. So I can definitely agree with that. But that man knows on the inside he made the wrong pick, and we'll have to leave that with him.
I will say this, Zach Lowe on his podcast. This was before the Dame news came out originally. He said, I've got the Pacers in 6 at max. And then when he heard about the Dame news, he said, I'm going to pick Pacers in 6. I will say this from everybody that I mostly listen to, locally here or on national podcasts, they were kind of picking the Pacers, leaning that way. I know that our friends from the Dunker Spot podcast, they do a great job. Nikias Duncan and Steve Jones Jr., very big. They were with the Wondery Company with JJ Redick. They picked Pacers in 6, and then I think Nikias even said Pacers in 5. Now, that was before the Dame news, and so you said Pacers in 7.
Yeah.
I picked Pacers in 6 on the podcast, but I said if Dame wasn't coming back, I would pick Pacers in 5. To me, I know it sounds crazy to say, but it's just as much as Giannis is a special player, Foch, I just don't think that the others on this Bucks team are good enough to match what Indiana can do. Because look, they might have the best player in this series, right? But 2 through 6, 2 through 7, you can make the case it's from the Pacers, right?
Oh yes.
So this is a great point that Trouty C brought up here. That's why I have it highlighted because I want to touch on it. It's this is why we talked about when they traded Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma. How as a Pacer fan, if we knew this playoff matchup was going to come, how much better do you feel about this? Because Chris Middleton in this series, he could have been a difference in them. It could have been a huge difference maker in game 1, and we're probably talking about a narrow Pacers win or potentially a Bucks upset if Middleton's able to do anything offensively to kind of relieve Giannis.
Chris Middleton had the same stat line as Kyle Kuzma today, and Chris Middleton didn't get off his couch. So think of it that way. Chris Middleton hit big shots last year in the playoffs against the Pacers, and that was just someone that you can count on. And I really do think that I know the Bucks won 8 straight games to end the regular season, but it's times like this that Giannis is probably looking around who can I trust? And I just feel like he doesn't have a solidified answer on that. I think that's going to be a mistake that they're going to have to live with. And, that might end up being one of those, assuming that it does backfire, as Giannis looking around being man, they traded Middleton, and it did not get us better. So I expect Dame to be out there soon, but man, I just feel like, if I could make my pick over again, I'd say Pacers in 6 at most. I really would.
Who's saying you can't change it?
If no one's saying I can't do it, I'm changing it. I'm saying Pacers in 6. And when you said the others, I'm not trying to get too cocky because we're up, but that's what they looked like today. It looked like Giannis and the others, almost some band. They're just lip syncers or whatever. They're not even the real musicians out there because you didn't fear anyone. And I just feel sure, you can bring Dame back, and I don't want to say it's too late, but I just feel there's so many other guys that you talked about, 2 through 6, that, okay, if you did throw Andrew Nembhard on the Bucks, okay, he would have been their second best player. Mathurin would have been their second best player today. You could have made an argument for so many different players. Obviously, a Siakam or a Halliburton, of course, but it's just that's the Pacers' depth, and I love it. And I think that in this type of series, it's going to make a massive difference because they cannot run with the Indiana Pacers.
I think we talked about this too. It is size versus speed, right? And I think we saw today how the speed outplayed the size of Milwaukee. And I mean the size was making me very nervous because I saw what Brook Lopez did in the regular season. I don't know if you saw this or not, but I think he shot 20 of 24 from 2. during the regular season against the Pacers. Like that's like 83% Facci,
Crazy.
and they didn't go to him at all. I didn't understand any concept of what the Bucks offense was trying to do, except give the ball to Giannis and let him just kind of, generate everything, which I get why that's important. But like, you have to know the Pacers are going to be loading up on him. The Pacers have done a very good job in terms of like, if you look at the teams across the league and how they've guarded Giannis, they fouled him like in that lower 10 in terms of like fouls committed. I think they fouled like, I forget, like 8 or 9 times on him. Like they fouled him 8 or 9 times, committed that many fouls against him compared to other teams. So I just thought they did a really good job. So anyway, I don't want to keep getting into all the nitty gritty stuff. We have plenty of time to talk about this other podcast. I just thought this was a great win, great team effort. I think Obi Toppin struggled a little bit in this game, kind of found some footing there a little bit in the second half, hit a big shot, had a nice dunk. I thought that was a great play where I think maybe it was a Turner block. Mathurin got the fast break and threw it up to Toppin. Toppin threw it home. Like that's some of the best moments when you have a Turner block lead to a Toppin dunk. So it was just little plays like that, but Game 2 is going to be way more difficult because
definitely
you've got the first blow out of the way. Happened last year to Indiana. They got spanked in Milwaukee in Game 1, and they won Game 2. They're going to come back ready to fight. And just so people kind of know this behind the scenes, the Milwaukee Bucks are not staying in Indianapolis. They are traveling home, Facci, after today's game. They're probably already home because it's a short flight, and they're gonna sleep in their own beds. They're gonna have Easter with their family. They're gonna have practice on Monday, and then fly for the game after practice Monday so they can be here Tuesday. So just a little bit of interesting stuff there. They're going to be traveling a little bit more versus staying in a hotel for the next couple of days and sleeping in their own bed. I think that does matter a little bit, but how much does the travel play a factor? We'll see.
I mean, I get that because these games are spaced out a little bit more. Normally you might play, the game was Saturday, you might play on Monday. So that can make things a little bit difficult. So I understand why they might be traveling back, but that definitely favors the Pacers. Pacers are going to be, relaxed, stationary, playing at home. Talked about it. I mean, since the All-Star break, this is now, I believe, Indiana's now 18-3 at home. And we mentioned those. A buzzer beater loss to the Lakers, one game where you didn't play the starters, and then I think they lost to Milwaukee, I believe it was. So they've been really good at home. This is why you wanted home court. And I think the Bucks, maybe they come out playing a little bit more free, knowing, hey, you're already trailing 1-0. You got blown out. Like, let's do some different things. But for the Pacers, man, I'm fired up. I think this is great. I also want to compliment everybody that joined in on the chat. They've got some awesome comments. This actually, steered the episode into some great talking points. Really appreciate all you guys tuning in. This is something new that we were trying out, and this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so I will say this. Just keep an eye on the podcast feed. It might be on YouTube. It'll most likely be on the audio platform. I'm going to be doing a giveaway for Game 2 tickets. They are in section 116, so they're great seats.
Nice.
So they're not like in the nosebleeds, and they're right at that mid-level to be a Game 2 on a Tuesday night. I think the game's being aired on NBA TV, if I'm not mistaken. So you probably will only be able to watch it on. Yeah, you'll only be able to watch that on FanDuel Sports Network with Chris and Quinn. And if you don't have that, you're going to be blacked out from viewing the game. So what better way than to view the game than to be there in person? But all you have to do is join the Chat BCC group chat. So go to your app, download Chat BCC, type in Setting the Pace, or if you want, go to my Twitter page, find the tweet. I'm actually going to share that in the comment section below on our podcast feed. It'll be in the description below, so you guys can follow that and enter to win. I'm going to probably pick that winner for Monday morning. So just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. But all you have to do is retweet the tweet, join the group chat, and then there's a little thread there that shows you to add a picture and tell me why I should pick you. Anybody that goes to that and adds a picture, they're going to be entered to win. So we want you guys to be a part of the group chat. But in the group chat, Facci, I was able to throw out our questions in terms of our awards for tonight's game. And so for our MVP, we had about 50 votes. Facci, who do you think won MVP of the game?
Pascal Siakam. I just feel like Siakam was that dude tonight, and I feel like he was deserving of it.
Yeah, the fans said 48% of the fans voted for Siakam, 26 for Turner, and 26 for Nembhard. So Pascal Siakam will be our Mel Daniels MVP of tonight's game. Now let's get into our clutch player of the game. The candidates were Myles Turner, Pascal Siakam, and Tyrese Halliburton. After 52 votes, the results are in. Facci, who do you think won the clutch player of the game?
I'm going Turner. We talked about that three. It just felt like it put you at ease. You know, it was just enough, and I feel like Turner just kind of locked in defensively down the stretch, and I'm going Turner.
Yeah, it was a landslide here. 72% of our fans voted for Myles Turner, 28 for Siakam, and 0 voted for Halliburton. Even though he had some clutch free throws there, I just didn't know how fans would feel about that. So now we're going to get into that was our Reggie Miller clutch player of the game. Now our Ron Artest defensive player of the game, 3 candidates as well. Siakam, Turner, and Nembhard once again. I feel like those were the 3. Is there anybody else that I left off that list that should have been on there?
No, I mean, look, Neesmith's always going to play some good defense, but I just feel like, you can only put so many people in the votes.
Yeah.
And I feel like, we didn't miss anyone, I'd say.
Yeah, so out of this result, we had 48 votes, and there's a pretty split percentage, but there was one that won pretty handily. Who do you think that was?
Nembhard, a.k.a. Nem Dog, a.k.a. Nem Hell. I mean, this man, we talked about it earlier. It's like, it's never going to show up on a box score. You got to watch it with your own eyes, what he does. And even if he's not coming up the steals, he's jumping passes. He's disrupting, what the offense is looking to do. Nembhard, absolutely.
So 55% of the fans that voted for Andrew Nembhard for the defensive player of the game. And so lastly here, we'll go with our Jeff Foster feisty player of the game. And I gave people 6 candidates to pick from here because I wanted to make sure everybody got a little bit of love. So we've got Myles Turner, Pascal Siakam, Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nembhard, Jarris Walker, and Ben Mather and Facci out of 48 votes. Who do you think won the feisty Foster player of the game?
It's hard to go away from Andrew Nembhard because I just feel like it's like he feisty is a great word to describe him. Like it really is. Like, I thought it was definitely feisty when Halliburton and Dame were exchanging some
I should
words.
have put Hallie in there.
But maybe very feisty talking. But I feel like this was definitely a Nembhard type of feistiness.
I would agree. That is what the fans said as well. It was Andrew Nembhard getting the feisty Foster playoff game player of the game. So good stuff from Nembhard. I thought he was fantastic in this game. I thought Myles Turner was impactful in this game. Siakam was great. Obviously, Tyrese had his moments. But TJ McConnell, I want to say this just quickly because we probably didn't touch on him enough. I thought he had some very big baskets.
He did
in this game. Thought that he
really second half. Oh yeah.
He hit some big ones, and I saw Bucks fans saying, "When did TJ McConnell turn into Michael Jordan against us?"
Oh my god,
we got to look into this.
You got to watch because Knicks fans said the same thing last year. Like, oh come on, McConnell, when does he hit that shot? It's like actually all the time, all the time. And I feel like when the Pacers were going cold and that lead did dwindle down to like 12, that's when McConnell was hitting those. I don't know like an 8-footer or whatever it may be. Just those baskets, like kind of, in the paint. And it was great to see. And that's why you love some TJ McConnell. He's been there. You can count on him. The moment is never too big. I mean, 5 of 7 from the field, 5 assists, just 1 turnover, like 11 points. Fantastic.
No, I think it was great to see from the Pacers get this big win. They needed it badly. They needed to win game 1. They needed to protect home court. And they got to do it in game 2, Facci. The last thing you want to do is give Milwaukee some life and then have to go to Milwaukee and try to win one of those games on the road. If you can do it, obviously great. If you can steal 1 of 2 against Milwaukee in games 3 and games 4, you love that. But you don't want to give up home court advantage, something you worked so hard to get, even though you lost the tiebreaker to Milwaukee. So this was a really fun game. I'm really excited about what's coming up next. Obviously, TJ McConnell, like you said earlier, just a really impactful game from him, and like he's had some big moments. And maybe we didn't highlight the impact that Ben Mathurin and Jarris Walker had in this game enough. And so I do apologize for that. But I just felt like for this being their kind of real first playoff experience, Foch, they didn't seem afraid of the moment. And that makes me excited about what this future could be for that draft class or those 2 young draft picks.
Those 2, it's like I hate how it used to be, but it used to be a little bit of competitiveness. Oh, who's going to be better? Who needs to start? Like they're just a great duo together that came in at the right time together. And it was huge, man. I mean, we all felt for Mathurin not being in the playoffs last year, but like this man's ready for the moment, getting to the rim, hitting shots. Andrew Nembhard, we already talked about it, had a huge performance. Like those are building blocks for the Pacers. And I know the fan base has been really hard to on like, the coaches said, get Jarris Walker out there, Jarris played 17 minutes in game 1 of the playoffs. Like we are seeing the youth playing and contributing. And that is a hard balance to be able to tiptoe when you're trying to win. And on a day like today, we tiptoed. We did it. We made it happen. And it was great to see in a win.
let's keep this momentum going, Facci. I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do in Game 2. Have a couple of days off. I think the Pacers will take off Sunday, be back probably to practice a little bit on Monday just to get ready for Game 2 Tuesday. I'm sure Rick Carlisle is just going to dive into all of the stuff that the Bucks probably will try to change, and all you can do is kind of prepare for, what you might expect to happen. But if Dame comes back, it's a totally different series, and I think there's a different way to beat Milwaukee when Dame's out there on the floor. I think that they're still beatable. I just think you have to beat them in a different way. So you got Pacers in 6. I got Pacers in 6. We're feeling good about this win. Pep in the step is there, like you said. It's even bigger.
A playoff pep.
A playoff pep is real. And I won't lie. I was listening to the Giannis Antetokounmpo's post-game press conference. I was there for it. He talked about not having the pep in the step for the Bucks.
I mean, dude, we don't all have the pep in the step. Some people don't. We have not been those people. We got the pep in the step, and when you got it, I'm telling you, life just hits differently. Right now, the Pacers have that, the snap and the walking down the street, a little bit of that playoff pep. It's what we've been waiting for. Life is good. We appreciate everybody that tuned in the comments. Resident teacher, I see you. You're saying thank you, Facci. I'm saying thank you, resident teacher. We appreciate you. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Man, what a win.
What a win, Facci. And I talked to you about this last week, and I want to just bring it up really quick here because I am determined to do something for my personal health, right?
Yep.
And if anybody would like to join me in this, feel free to do it. But I want to make sure that I hold myself a little bit more accountable. So after Saturday, starting on Sunday, it's hard for me to start on a Saturday just with a diet.
Yeah, I feel right.
Yeah, so I told Facci, I said, I want to do this thing called playoffs weight off. And so I'm going to report to you guys every Sunday and let you know my weight loss progress. I'm not going to tell you how much I weigh. I don't think that's really important, but I'll tell you if I'm up or down just to kind of hold myself accountable. Facci is a big fitness guy himself, works out a lot. So this was a great great thing for him to just back me up with. So trying to get back. I lost a lot of weight a couple of years ago, and
you were killing it, man.
I was killing it. I was going to the gym like crazy, but I really wasn't watching Pacers basketball. I really wasn't doing a lot of that stuff. I mean, this was when the Pacers were tanking to try and get Mathurin and Nembhard and that kind of stuff. I was going to the gym all the time. I was like, Facci, do these interviews. I mean, this was when they were not even making the playoffs for Jarris and stuff like that. I was like, I just cover this game for me. I got to go to the gym. And I've got away from that, obviously. Baby has changed a lot of stuff too. Life happens, but we're back on the bandwagon starting Sunday. I know it's Easter, it's a bad day to start, but I just want to say, Facci, thank you for encouraging me to do this. So campaign's going to be, playoffs, weight off. We'll see how much weight I can get off here, and I'm going to keep this thing rolling. I just wanted to use the playoffs as an opportunity to kind of step up and make that a platform for me to do it. But I don't think my weight loss is as important as you having a new baby. So once again, Facci, congratulations to you. We got Michael J. Facci. We got Cameron J. Facci. I mean, all the good stuff is going. So,
hey, no, look, guys, let's do this together because I'll tell you one thing. Alex doesn't want to let us down. It's one thing if maybe he let himself down, but once other people are involved and they're rooting for it, he's not going to want to let us down. So let's hold this man accountable in obviously a friendly way where we're motivating, we're pushing him. So let's do this. Let's all try and be the best versions of ourselves. And Alex, I know you got it in you. We've seen you do it before. And look, the offseason, it's approaching, so things will get easier, but we're just not ready for Pacer basketball to end yet. So do what you can, juggle it all right now. The offseason, I think, is going to make things a little bit easier, but for right now, winning game 1, we could see we ain't going nowhere anytime soon. Bring on the Bucks, make whatever adjustments you need. We're ready for game 2.
Yeah, and like Myles Turner said, Facci, 1 down, 15 to go.
Absolutely.
1 down.
In the comments too. Whoever said that, we're absolutely right.
Yeah. 1 down, 15 to go. So anyway, I'm excited for what's to come. And Facci, we can just wrap this up here shortly. But you know how we do it on this show, Facci. When we're ready to close this one out, we say, ladies and gentlemen, Facci, if you're excited, hit me with those 3 words. So if you're in the comment section, let us know how you're feeling about this. Let us see those 3 words in the comment section. But Facci, if you're glad the Pacers got a game 1 butt whipping on the Milwaukee Bucks and you're looking for some more butt whipping in game 2, then hit me with those 3 words.
Let's go Pacers!